Welcome back to the Crochet Creatives Host, my friends over at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we are going to work on the Holiday Hearts Throw, a fabulous design using Red Heart Holiday yarn. Now I'm going to be using Caron 1 pound today because I'm fun and fabulous, but if you are using Red Heart Holiday, use a 6.5mm size K crochet hook. But on camera today I will be demonstrating with the 6mm size J crochet hook in order to play today. Now I'm going to be switching this up a little bit, so we're going to do as it states in the pattern a bit, and then I'm going to show you some fun little tricks that you can do to make your life a little bit easier as well. I also have some glance sheets for you. What's that? Stay tuned, I'll show you. So on screen is my glance sheet over here, and I have the sample. So because we're going from a heart to a square, it's complicated to get to that square motion. So what I've done for you, instead of reading all those small little instructions like we see here, I have broken it up so that you can just follow the sequence without all that fluff of extra words. So I'll be explaining that as we go today. It's really not that hard. Now I used to be an automotive technician in automotive. In automotive you're successful when you do bits of a car at a time. So you do the bumpers and you keep doing the bumpers and then it moves down the line and etc. So you put it together like an assembly. If I were you and you were me, I would do this like an assembly line. So do all of your first ones first, and when you change the color then do the next one and do them all and etc. so that you can grow out all of your motifs at the same time. It also helps you to remember the pattern so much more easier instead of starting each square from scratch. So I would do that and grab a little basket or something and you can have some fun with that. And then once you get this into your head, you'll just probably have to look at the pattern just a few times and then you can start banging them off pretty quickly. So let me talk to you about my sheet here and we'll continue. So on screen are my instructions that we have. So I've taken out the fluff. So it says brackets are the chain one space. So I put what is the instruction for one chain one space just like you see. So chain two and 2 double crochets are in the first chain one space that you see. The next one is 3 trebles that you see right there. That's in the next space and so on and so on. You're going to notice in the first few rounds is that the bottom of the heart is halfway through the round, but that doesn't always stay true. So at some portion of this when we do all that fun loopy stuff, which I'll show you, is that we then start at the bottom of the heart and work our way around as we then transition to a square. So it's actually pretty neat. So some of the rounds I did it like this, and then other ones I did it here where you can just check it off. Now I color coded because I love color, but also when you look down you can say in your mind, okay, I just did the blue instruction, what's the next one? It's a red instruction and so forth. And I show you here in green what is the midway point. I want you to picture this particular heart like it's a mirror. So this is mirror mirror on the wall. Okay, so just remember that it's a half. So once you have the halfway point, the other side is a mirror coming around the other side. So when we go to start this heart, the first few rounds will start up here and we're gonna come around, and then eventually once we get to this blue section we're gonna be starting at the bottom and then going around like this as we continue along. So let's begin our journey today, and you can use any colors you wish. I did change the colors of mine. I don't know how much yarn you're going to need for the color changing I did. Just have some fun. Go and get that scrap yarn that you may have and really pound off some hearts today. So we're gonna start off with the slip knot and we're going to chain 5, which will be the center of the circle. So let's chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then insert your hook into the beginning chain and then yarn over and pull through. So you have the center of the chain and then use this straggler just to wrap it around so you can get it stuck underneath. So let's move on to round number 1. So we're going to start off with round number 1, and the circle is not gonna be a pure circle. There's gonna be one stitch that will be out of sync, which will be the bottom of the heart. So without further ado, let's begin, and we're going to chain a total of 4. So 1, 2, and 3. There's your first double crochet, and the 4th is a chain 1 space. So just remember that, so have it bend. So in this circle I need you for 5 times in a row to double crochet, but you're not done, and then follow it with the chain 1. So that's 1 of 5. So I'm gonna count. So do another double crochet, and this is number 2 followed by a chain 1. So I'm going to assume that you're gonna put chain 1 after. So this is number 2. So this is number 3. It's number 4 and number 5. So make sure you finish that with the chain 1. So right now you're at the halfway spot. So at this is going to be the bottom of the heart, which will be a treble. So to do the treble you're going to wrap twice and insert into the beginning, and then pull through and through like that, and then you're going to start the other side. So chain 1 and begin again. So you're gonna double crochet and chase it with a chain 1. So that's 1, so you want 5 of those. So 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Do you feel like it's an 80s exercise video? It's mine is the latex. Well, you can't see me today, so you don't really know that for sure. So what you want today is that you have the posts, so you should be able to count 12 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I've already done my chain 1, and you're going to join it to the 3rd chain up, which will then conclude that. So if you want to keep this color, great. If not, let's get rid of this color. I am going to show you how to fasten off. I would be fastening off the yarn each time with the tapestry needle. So let me demonstrate that next. So I'm going to demonstrate for you just one time on how to fasten off. So just leave an extra long tail, and you will want to use a tapestry needle for this. So just snip your yarn and just pull it through like that. And now I would turn it to the back side of this and throw it through a tapestry needle. Now what I'm demonstrating with this is called a wool needle, and I learned about these last year. They have a really big end on them, so you don't have to fight about it, like get your fingers through it or yarn. And I want to just weave it in the back side just with a few strands. Now the best way to go in here is to go in and out 3 times. So just don't change the shape of your project. So go through once, go through a slightly different path the second time, and 3rd time is the charm. Once you start doing this kind of stuff, it doesn't take long to weave in your ends. I would weave them in as you go though, because you'll have a nightmare at the end. No fooling Wally. For those that are Leave It to Beaver fans, and for you younger generation, you missed out something fun. So I'm not that old, but I know it. So it's going to look like it's an oblong shape. Just keep an eye on where you finished off, and that'll be the starting for round number 2. So what we have here is that we're going to be playing in these chain 1 spaces. Do you see the instructions here? Chain 2, 2 double crochet. That's going to be in the first chain 1 space after you did the slip stitch join. So then the next space here has 3 treble, and then the next space has this. So when you get all the way to the very bottom, what you have to watch out for is that there is going to be 1 treble in the bottom of where the treble is existing. So there's not only stuff for every one of the spaces, because there's 12 spaces, but the 13th one is that 1 treble right in the middle. So when I was doing my test practices of that, I was missing that. So let's begin round number 2. So let's begin round number 2. I would start off with the slip knot on the hook first, and I want to come into the space after I did that slip stitch join. So right in here, and I want to join it. I'm going to recommend to you to make sure you're nice and tight. So pull it through and then chain 2. That's in that same spot. This here, just give it a good yank, and I want you to bury it underneath that same chain 1 space. So in that same space we're going to apply 2 double crochet. So we're at the top of the heart. This is right where we are, is the very middle in between the indentations of the heart, back at the top. So we have a chain 2, 2 double crochet in the first one. The next chain 1 space has 3 trebles in it, so you gotta wrap twice and put 3 trebles in that one. So 1, 2, and 3. Now the next one here says 2 trebles, so that's gonna come around the top of the heart as it's forming. So 2 trebles in that one. And now there's going to be in the next one and the one after that 2 double crochets into each. So 1 and 2 is in the first one, and you'll do that again. So 1 and 2. Okay, and now the next one is going to be 1 double crochet and a treble. Now remember what I said, this one here is your treble right here that you're about to run into. So here it's telling you to put 1 treble in the bottom treble there. So you're gonna go right into the stitch work itself. So that's the only one that you don't put into a space. So this is half of your heart. So if you look at it from this perspective, so now we're gonna do the other side. So whatever we did this side, we're just gonna go in the opposite formation. So as we then move around, we're going to start off in the next space as one treble and then one double crochet. Now the next two in a row will each be 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2 is in the first one, and then the next one, so 1 and 2. And now the next one is going to have 2 trebles, so wrap that hook twice. So put 2 trebles there. So 1 and 2. The next one is gonna have 3 trebles in it, and you'll see the heart really forming after this round. So 1, 2 and 3. Okay, and now the very last one that you have left is going to be 2 double crochet. So 1 and 2, and then 1 half double crochet will finish it. And I want you to join it to the top of the first chain 2 that you had started with. Just like that. So you can see that the heart formation has taken shape a little bit. It's still gonna have the indentation coming out, and now we're going to change our color once again. Again, that's up to you, and we're going to move on then to round number 3. I'm going to fasten this yarn off like I showed you, and I'll be right back in just a moment. So now we're gonna move on to round number 3. So we're gonna work within the stitch work itself, and the first one is going to be the very next one. So right where we attached right here is going to be that chain 2. The next one is gonna be 1 double crochet by itself, and then it says 2 double crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. So you got 3 stitches in a row that will each have 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next. Then you're gonna have a half double crochet in each of the next 8 stitches, which will take you to the stitch that's just before the very bottom, where you'll put 3 into the bottom and then do your mirror going out the other side. So let's begin round number 3. So let's begin row number 3. So I want to stick my hook in right in the top of this chain 2 that we had from the row below, and we're going to attach, and we're going to chain 2. So that's be a half double crochet that's sitting on a chain 2. So what we have here is that the next stitch is going to be 1 double crochet by itself. Now the next 3 stitches are each going to be 2 double crochet each. So I'll be quiet as you do it. So put 2 into each of the next 3. Now that those 3 are in, the next one is gonna be 1 double crochet by itself, and now the next 8 in a row will be a half double crochet. So let's count those out together. So we'll start with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And if you're right, the very next stitch is the one that is attached at the base. Do you see this is your treble? So in this one here, you want to put in 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. So half of your heart is now done. So let's go up the other side. So starting in the very next one, you want to do the first 8 in a row. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And in the next one it's gonna be 1 double crochet by itself. So 1 and 2. Sorry, 1 and 2 is just the counting of that stitch. So it's just 1 in there. So the next 3 in a row that you will have will each be 2 double crochets each. So let's just do that. So now that those 3 are in, okay, the next one is 1 double crochet by itself, and the very last stitch that you're left with is 1 half double crochet, and you're going to join that to the beginning chain 2 that you had started with. I want you to get rid of this yarn and you're gonna wanna move on. So I would change the color at this point regardless of where you are, and we're going to move on then into round number 4. So get rid of this yarn and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So right where we are is that we're on the purple here. Don't worry about this pink line yet. That will be done after we do this next round. And that's not on the pattern. That's my own ad-libbing, and this is called surface overlay. So what we're going to do is that we're gonna add these blue in. So we're going to then start at the base of the heart. So we've been at the top now. We're gonna start at the base at the middle one. And what we need to do is that we need to skip a stitch and chain 3 and then skip a stitch and chain 3. So you're single crocheting every other stitch. So the goal is to get all the way around. Now where I changed the pattern in here for this one here is that this stitch should have gone all the way down. Visually I didn't feel like that was the right decision for me personally. So what I decided to do is that I went in between a stitch with a single crochet, but I will demonstrate it how the designer wants you to do it just in case. So and then you're just gonna trace it around. You're going to notice is that you will have 9 chain 1 spaces per side. So start at the base in here. So you should have 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the other side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you have to fake anything, make sure you have 9 chain 1 spaces per side with the total of 18 stitches, which is what we'll be working with in the future. Let's begin this round number 4. So let's begin at the bottom of the heart, and what we have here is that it's the middle one. So start off with the slip knot first. Now you'll notice that when we go to join this is that there's not a single crochet or double crochet or half there. You're just joining it and immediately just going to chain 3 and then start. So 1, 2, 3. So just pull things nice and tight. So skipping the next stitch, you're going to single crochet the next and then chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, skip next and single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and you're going to do this all the way around. So what we need to pay attention to though is the very center of the heart at the top when we get there. So you don't hear me counting right now because I'm not, and I'm just kind of working my way around. So I'm going to count the number of spaces because it's just easier. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I told you that there was 9 because when I go to do the next one, so 1, 2, 3, the designer wants you to come all the way down here and do a double crochet. So she wants you to come all the way and just wrap it and pull up like this, but she doesn't want you changing the shape, so you got to provide a little bit of extra yarn. So you can do that if you wish. If you don't want to do that and do it the way I'm suggesting, is that do you see where the 2 groups are? This is the space in between. I would just single crochet there and then begin again. So chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Now the designer says that we have to skip 4 of these stitches. So 1, so start it back here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there's the next one right there. If you think you're wrong, all you need to do is that you can just continue to go. It doesn't take a very long time, but just make sure that you have 9 spaces after this middle point. So just chaining 3 in between. So what this is doing is it's suspending the heart within this section. Now if you're off by a stitch you can always fake anything. So starting after the middle one, so count the spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is the last span, so chain 3. That's your 9th space and you're going to join it to the beginning. So this would be how you would complete this row. So fasten off your yarn and we'll be right back and we'll start some surface overlay, which is not part of the pattern. So I'll show you how I did it and just to see if that's something that will appeal to you. I'll be right back in a second. Now what you're seeing here in this pink here is called surface overlay. It's not as per the pattern. It's something I added on. I felt like it just needed a little bit of tracing just for my own satisfaction. So what I had to do is that I had to figure that out, and I know how to surface overlay. So the other side looks like it's the sewing machine of just going here, and you're gonna use your hook to do it, so don't worry about any sewing in this at this moment. So what I want to do is that I want to focus on the actual stitch work right here. Just follow the edging, just going right in and pulling it through. When we do surface overlay, the yarn comes from the back and we pull it through like our hook is like a sewing machine. So the goal is that when we get close to the middle here, we have to start dipping down and coming down and making sure we get at least 2 points. So 1, 2, and 3 before coming up. If you just go right here and then down, it will actually literally just look like it's just crossing over. So you have to exaggerate that motion, and you know what, your hearts don't have to be perfect, right? Because everybody's heart's different. So let's begin, and I started my hearts at the very base here when I did my surface overlay. So let's begin to show you that. To do surface overlay, do not create a slip knot to begin. Just create a very long strand here, and you want to go into wherever you want to place. So this can be done at any point on any project really. So you're gonna go down in between. So I'm gonna go right underneath the stitch. So I wanted to do the blue first so that I won't impede anything. And I'm just gonna pull up a loop, and I want to crochet, but I want to crochet so that the yarn stays on the back. So moving to the next stitch up or over, yarn over and pull through and through. It's like a slip stitch, and then go to the next stitch and yarn over and through and through. And all I want to do is trace this around. So what I'll do is that I'll speed forward, and then I'll show you how I dip down at the top of the heart. So just do this. This is called surface overlay, and how you finish really matters too. So I'll be right back in just a moment. Now as you get closer to the top, what I want to do is I want to start heading down. So you could just grab into something just to stabilize it. So just go into something, and then I would go all the way down like that. And now I would go into the middle so that it will keep it in the middle, and then I would go one over before heading back up. And therefore it will come down and then back up. So now start heading back up, and the goal is to get yourself back up to the regular place that you had been working with on the other side. So now you're just gonna continue to trace around, and I'll see you at the end of this round where I'll show you how to fasten this off so that you don't ever see the start or stop of one of these surface overlays. It's so important. I'll show you that in a moment. Now when you get close to the end, you want to go to the stitch that is just before it, and you're not going to want to slip stitch to here. So what I want you to do is just cut this yarn a little bit longer than normal and pull it up right through the project. You're going to grab your tapestry needle and watch what I do. So you're just gonna pull the other one a little bit tighter so it looks like it's the same size, and you're going to take this needle and slide between the two there, and you're going to pull it, but you want to pull it the same distance as the rest of them, what they look like, and you want to go down through the middle right to the other side. So it looks like, see, it's almost hard to tell where you start and stop. So on the back side here you want to secure it. So just grabbing it and just stay on the back side and just weave it in. And you want to weave it in back and forth a total of 3 times. And you're going to want to do this with the starting strand as well. So stay on the back threads here so that it doesn't come through to the front side, so you'd never see it. So now I want you to get rid of that yarn here, and then I want you to do the same with the other one, and then just weave off any other yarns that you have, and we'll move on in this tutorial. So here's what your heart looks like at this moment. You know, it's kind of funny, you could actually do 2 of these and back them up to each other and put a little bit of potpourri or something inside, and you know, kind of hang it in the closet. So that's something that you can do too. So now we're going to transition from this heart into the square. It's the next round here that it's kind of hard to see with this white. So I think for tutorial reasons I'm going to change the color just so that you can see it, but then I'm gonna have to rip it out afterward and then just replace it with the white so that I have my sample ready for you for when I do my border. Let's begin the next round, which is round number 5. In round number 5 we want to start off the space, so looking at the heart upside down, you want to start in the next space that's available to you. And so each one of these in the bracket is a space. So in the first space we're gonna chain 2 and put 1/2 double crochet and a double, and then we jump to the next space. There's gonna be 1 double crochet and then 2 trebles, and then the next space is the corner. So when it's a treble, there is 2 trebles, when it's a treble corner, because they're not all the same, it's 2 treble, chain 1, 2 treble. You're then going to keep going, and then it says the next space is 1 treble and 3 doubles. So just keep following this around in order to make this work. And what you're going to do is that you're going to be getting the shape, and it's the next round after it, which is an easy round. It's just a matter of getting it to stabilize. And then what I would do is then steam block this or damp block this at the end to keep its shape. So let's begin the instruction and let's start. For tutorial reasons I'm just not going to do the white. I'm gonna do a darker color so that you can see it because I have a white background. So we're gonna start off with the first space right after where you did the join. So it's right there. And you want to chain 2, which will be the first 1/2 double crochet, and in the same space you're going to apply 1/2 double crochet, and then the next one is a double crochet. So the chain 2, 1 and the 1/2 double crochet are considered 2 1/2 double crochets in a row, and then it's a double. So going to the next space, it's going to be 1 double crochet and then 2 trebles in a row. And now the corner is next. So in this one here you're going to do the corner, so it'll be 2 treble to start, followed by chain just chain 1 and then 2 trebles. So there is your first corner that you can identify so far. So moving up to the next one, it says 1 treble into the next, followed by 3 doubles into the same one. So 1, 2 and 3. Then into the next one here. So this one and the one next door, both of them are gonna have 4 double crochets in each. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now the next one is the same thing, so 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now the next one is a double crochet corner. So the double crochet corners will be 2 double crochet first, followed by a chain 2 and 2 double crochet, and there is your second corner of your square. Now the next 4 spaces that are across the top, so you should see 2 before you get to the halfway spot and then 2 after that, they're each going to be 3 double crochet each. So let's count those out together. So we're gonna have our first set is in now, go to the next one, put 3 double crochets there, then to the next one, and then finally the 4th one. So now that those are in, the next one is your corner. So it'll be 2 double crochet, so 1 and 2, followed by chain 2 and 2 double crochet. So there is the top there. So that is your 3rd corner. Now coming down the side, let's begin again. So starting in the next 2 in a row, they'll each be 4 double crochets. So 1, and then the next one is 4 double crochets as well. The stitch count equals each other, so just because they're a different count doesn't mean that it's not a square. It's because it's being transitioned. So there's the first 2 of 4 double crochets each. The next one is 3 double crochet first, and then there's gonna be a treble to finish that one off, and then we're back on another corner which will be a treble corner. So the treble corners are going to be 2 trebles to start, followed by chain 1 and then 2 trebles again. Okay, the next space that you have here is going to be finishing up, so we're going to do 2 trebles. Now the pattern says 1 treble and 2 double crochets, but then that means it's out of sequence for the first one, so I marked that on the cheat sheet. So I have here that it should be 2 trebles, I believe, and if you don't like it, then just follow the main instruction itself on the real pattern, and then you are going to put in 1 double crochet. So 2 trebles and 1 double crochet is in there. And then finally the very last space is going to be 1 double crochet followed by 2 half double crochet. So this is probably the hardest round there is, and you're going to join it and keep this color going for then the next round, round number 6. So now you can kind of shape it a bit, and let's begin round number 6 in just a moment. In round number 6, all it is now is just going to be double crochet. So you're gonna chain up 3, which counts as your first double crochet, and starting in your very next stitch you're going to double crochet in every stitch until you get to a corner, and in the corners there will be 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. That's all that round number 6 is. It's not a lot of hard work, and I want you to do that all the way around. So just remember the corners are 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. When you get all the way back around, I would actually fasten this off. Even if you were not changing the color, I'd still fasten it off to have a nice clean restart for then the next round. So join it to the beginning of the chain 3. I am going to fasten off, and I really like this pink versus the white that I used. So I'm gonna share some tips with you if you'd like to change colors, because I honestly think you could have a heart of many colors on your particular sample. So I'm gonna weave this in, and I'll be right back in just a moment. If you're ever doing a scrap GAN kind of concept, what makes a scrap GAN is consistency. So you could actually choose stuff, even if you were just to randomize colors, you would want to choose something in a square that actually makes sense to each other. So maybe you want all the hearts to be lined up with this blue so that it looks like it's consistent. So I did this beautiful In Love blanket by Jessie Rayott, and what we have is that my sample looked like crap, and what I realized is that she used in her sample is that 1 or 2 rounds was consistent through all of the scrap GAN look. So that's what made it look so good, and realize that mine was just too random. So you may want to think about how you're doing this in order to bring it together. And if I were you and you were me, the very final round, which you see here in white, that's not part of the pattern, that's my ad lib. I would make sure that each one of the squares also ended in the same color, so you can do your whip stitching so that it appears invisible as well. So I'm going to move on, and we're going to work on this section right here, these spaces, and on the real pattern this is where the last round is. So let's begin the final round. So on the pattern this is the final round, and I would start out on a corner instead of where you finished off, and it gives you a nice clean start. So you're just gonna join it, and you want to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 is a double crochet, and the 4th is a chain 1 space. Just pull this nice and tight, and you're gonna weave that in later. Skipping the next stitch, you're going to double crochet and then chain 1. Skip the next stitch, double crochet, and then chain 1. I'll see you at the first corner because this one is unique, and I'll explain more in just a moment. When you get all the way to the other side, because the round below had even numbers per side, the very last double crochet that comes in is in the last stitch here. So it's gonna feel out of balance because you skipped the first stitch coming out of a corner. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. So just chain 1 before you start a corner, and the quarters will be then a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And then you'll start a new side. So chain 1 to start, skip the first one, and double crochet the next. So you should be able to count 11 spaces between the corners. So we haven't done a corner here yet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then the 12th one here is your corner here. So the corner's not been done here yet. So there's 11 spaces in between and 4 corners, which gives you 48 spaces that gets all the way around. So just continue with what you know, and I'll see you at the end of this round. This is round number 7. When you get all the way around, you gotta finish that last corner, so just chain 1 before you start the corner, slam in your double crochet right at the end, and then chain 2 and join it to the 3rd chain up. I want you to weave in your ends, and this is the end of the line for the one that's suggested in the pattern. I'll quickly talk about how you're going to join it, and then I'm going to add one more round for my own enjoyment to be able to do the whip stitching. So let's talk about the joining. So this is what it would look like if you're following the pattern exactly. So the other one here would not have this white on, but it also has these posts here with the spaces. So all you're just going to do then, when you want it to do that, you want to put them together. So you just kind of fold them up together, just ignore the white here. And so when you double crochet through, you're just single crocheting across. So you're just going to join, and you'll join only to this section right here, ignore the white, and you're going to single crochet either in a space with both together, or you're going to go through both of the stitches that you see together, and you're just going to single crochet yourself all the way through. So you should wait until the end though. So get all of your squares done and then lay it down and just single crochet them all together, and then you chain one in between this space in here before jumping to the next two that you'll have coming up here. Now you could also do it with my same version that I'm about to show you here. You could also single crochet those together, and that's something that you can decide for yourself. I really like the idea of an invisible join, of doing the back loops only, and that's something that you can enjoy. So I'm going to show you round number 8, which is not in the pattern, but it's just consistent with how to get it to look like that. Let's begin that. So let's begin to do the last round, and we're just going to join it. So white on a white background makes no sense, I know. So just coming into the corner, I want you to do a standing single crochet. So if you put it onto the hook and then put yarn over, pull it through, and then have 2 loops, pull through 2, and that's a standing single. Chain 2 and single crochet again. So the corners are going to be 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet. In each of the stitches and chain 1 spaces, you're just going to single crochet, and you're going to do that all the way to the corner. So corners, remember, 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet. That's all you got to do for round number 8, and I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so we're just gonna finish off this round. I'm just coming into the last one here. I've already done the first corner, so I'm just gonna slip stitch it, and then I'm going to demonstrate I say we, but it's just me. I'm going to demonstrate on how to attach this together. So I'm gonna weave in my ends, and I'll be right back in just a moment. So once you're completely ready, what you want to do is you want to whip stitch them together if you're not going to single crochet them together if you want to. So what I want to do is, in order to get the invisible join, you have to focus on the back loop of here. So if you're looking at these, the back loop is the one that's furthest away from you here. So in this side, if I looked at the back loop, it's right here, and then if I looked at the back loop of this one here, it's right here. Okay, so it's on the opposite side. So it's the back loops that get jammed together. And so what you want to do, because your counts are the same, you want to take the same colored yarn, and going in the back loop, it'll pull it together like so. And so you'll want to start off in the corner and work your way down. So I do a long enough strand, so I try to do the whole thing. So once you start to do this, I would do like the whole run of all of the different squares together. We do have a diagram of the assembly here. Let's take a look at that in just a moment. So here in the diagram, it has A and B. It just has a color representation. You could be very random like me too. So what you want to do is you want to line up all your squares, so you'll start joining like this, and then you'll move to the next one. So I join all in this direction, all at the same time. And when I say at the same time, I do it all like together. And then I eventually then turn the blanket and I go all the way up. The trick is that once you start working on this, make sure that you don't have any squares that are upside down. So when you're working on this, you want to make sure that the good sides are facing up. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to demonstrate on how to do the invisible join. I am going to be using white, unfortunately, so I know I'll probably get criticized for that. Maybe I can put something in behind so you can see it clearly. So what you want to do is you want to cut a long enough strand so that you can probably do a whole run at the same time. If not, you can just do little pieces too. It'll just take a little bit longer to put together. The other side of it here, I want to create a slip knot with a little bit of a longer tail, and the other side is where we're going to put in our needle. And I do the slip knot so that it traps it in a position. So we know that in the corners here it was 1 single crochet, 2 chain, and 1 single crochet. So I'm going to start off with the back loop of the second chain as it's coming around the corner, and this one here, I'm looking at it and I want to get the first one that's away from the corner here, and I'm going to just go through. But before I pull it too far, put that loop on and pull it, and that loop will lock it into position. And the extra long tail, you can just go around it. So starting in the next stitch, going in the back loop only, in the back loop of this one, come straight across. This is called a whip stitch. Now if you plan this right, this should go up over top of that straggler. So it gets it stuck underneath. So just lay that straggler down and flat. So move to the next back loop and the next back loop, and the stitch count should be the same. And what I want you to do is just sew all of your squares together. This is called the whip stitch if you don't want to do a single crochet. Now there's other ways to join things, so we do have suggestions on YouTube for other kinds of joins. If you wish, you could do a braided join and etc. But I like just to keep it relatively simple. And because the two sides have the same border color, then it's really easy to hide this extra like this yarn going through. So I want to make sure that I advance. If for example you're off by any stitches at all, you can just like manipulate this so that it will line up. Okay, so for example, say you had an extra stitch, one here, you could go into the same stitch but advance into this one here, and that will pull it up. And that's just something that I would do behind the scenes if you weren't watching me. So this is something, so we're just gonna whip stitch, and I'll see at the end of this section here I am going to join the other two that I have so that I have a complete square so that I can show you how to do the border. So I'll see you at the end of this going across. So as I jump between the squares, you just make sure they're all lined up the way that you want them. And so now I've just done this one here, so I go across on a diagonal to this one, and then I come back, and then this one will pull into this one, and then I go into this one here, and then I pick up this one. So I always kind of go diagonal when I'm doing this kind of concept. So therefore it has a nice tight join. So then I start picking up the back, and I keep on going. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna get all the way to the end here. I'll show you how I fasten off, and then I'm going to do the other side, meaning across, and obviously you'll have more squares if you're doing a bigger size, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. Okay, so what we have here is that at the end, so when you get to the end, and you'll have obviously more, but you get to the end, you want to tie a knot. This is how I do it, and I want to just feed it back and forth inside this seam line. I totaled 3 times. So it's like we were showing it before. And when I say we, I mean me. I don't know why I do that. It's like why I call a crochet hook and needle. It makes no sense. Okay, so I want to go back and forth inside the seam line 3 times, and therefore it's completely hidden and out of the way forever and ever. Now I want to turn it. So once you have all that span done, so you have more, you'll turn it the other direction and then start, and you'll seam line all that up. So I'm gonna do that off camera, and I'll be back in just a moment. Now if we were following the instructions for the border, what you would do is that you would join to a corner, and so you'll put in a 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. So you would only be playing within these spaces here. So what you have to then do is that you have to put 2 double crochets in each one of these chain 1 spaces, and just equally space those out as you're going all the way across. So the first row really doesn't matter for the next few rows. All I'm saying is that you can improvise. If you ended up with a gap like this, you can always just kind of fill it in as well. So I'm going to demonstrate the border as if it's this one here. So if you have the gapping spaces, just 2 double crochets in each going all the way around, and then the next row I will pick it up from the actual pattern itself. So if you're improvising like I am, just have some fun, and we will be right back in just a moment, and we'll get some yarn ready, and we'll begin the journey next. So if you want to improvise at this point using the same kind of idea, you're gonna go into a chain 2 space, and you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet again in that same space. So because I just have single crochets here, I'm just going to double crochet in each one. Now my thing is that there's always an indentation where they're joining together, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for that in order to compensate for that, so that it looks like this row is pretty even. And so this is kind of an easy way to do it. So let me just get you to that spot right here, and I'll see you there in just a moment. So as you're looking at here, you can see that it wants to indentate out. So as it's getting closer, what you want to do is you want to grow your stitches out, so it's gonna compensate for that. So as it starts to sink, you want to think about that. So what I would do is transition to a treble and just equally space it in there. Maybe one right in the middle. sorry, I want to do a treble, so wrapping twice, and then I want to treble the other side because it's still lower, and then I want to come back up. So I just used 3 stitches there in order to sink down, so that can be like a standard that I want to do, and therefore the top of this row will stay flat, but it indentates in to make up for that. If I don't, then what's gonna happen is gonna come down and then your blanket may not sit flat. So you're gonna want to do that all the way around, and at the corners you're going to apply 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and I'll see at the end of this row, this is border row number 1. This is an improvisation from the pattern, and again if you're just using this other pieces here, you were just putting 2 double crochets in each and just kind of equally spacing it out as well. So let's just get all the way around, and this is round number 1. So when you come all the way back around, just got to make sure I put my 2 double crochet back in and chain 2 and join it to the first chain 3. So there are 3 rounds on this border. Of course you can make it as elaborate or as easy as you would like to, and I'm just gonna add another round here. One thing I really like doing on my borders, which I know it drives people nuts, but I actually like doing picot borders because if any imperfections in your border, a picot can really hide it well. So am I lazy or just smart? I don't know. I wouldn't use that the S word for me too often for sure. So we're going to then join it, and let's begin round number 2. I'm just randomly choosing colors just because life is short. So I'm going to begin and start the next round, and it's just a half double crochet round. So I'm just gonna come in the corner, chain 2, which can count as a half double crochet, and then half double crochet again inside. And now each stitch all the way around is gonna be a half double crochet. So I'm going to put then the corners as 2 half double crochet, chain 2, 2 half double crochet. So let's do round number 2 if you care to, and I'll finish off with round number 3 in just a moment. So once you come all the way back around, you're going to want to put in your 2 half double crochets to have the balance, and then chain 2 and join it to the top of the first chain 2 that you started with. So you can decide what you want to do at this point. I'm going to just put a single crochet round after this, and that will conclude off today's video. So I'm completely improvising the border at this moment. I think it's okay. Right. So okay, so I'm gonna do that, and I'll be right back, and we'll start the final border, which will just be a single crochet. So let's begin the final border. So just taking a new color if you wish, and just insert it into the corner and do a standing single crochet, which I've already showed, and just do a standing and then chain 2 and single crochet. So if you don't like standing, just join it, chain 1, 1 single crochet into the corner, and then chain 2 and 1 single crochet in. So just following around the border, just 1 single crochet into each of the stitches going all the way around, and in the corners it'll be 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet, and that'll complete off our journey for today. So I'll see you at the end of this round, and that's it for now. So I'm coming up all the way to the end, and I'm just going to slip stitch to the beginning and then just weave in my ends, and my afghan is done for today. So my border has been improvised based on the original. You know, have fun with your ideas, and this is it for now. Have a great day, and we hope to see you again real soon right here. See ya.